Welcome back, everyone. It's been a long time I haven't been in the videos, and a lot has happened in the stock market and in the economy at the government level. The announcement that Trump has made, the tariffs, the deportation, the layoffs, the Doge involvement, and all of that we're going to discuss in this video. So let's start with the first thing, which is the hottest topic of the day, is the NVDA earnings. And as always, NVIDIA never disappoints me. At least I don't know about the rest of the Wall Street and the traders in the stock market or investors. I don't know what their expectations are, but I had, if you recall my previous video and if you watched my previous video in their last quarter's earning, I had mentioned that earnings are going to be always great, but Nvidia has been under promising and over delivering for past 2 years, or at least a year and a half. And I think the Wall Street has become of the mindset that they should always be overperforming just like this. But as companies grow larger and larger, um, it's much harder to grow as quickly. The growth is there, the profit increase is there, the revenue growth is there, the margin growth is there. However, to beat the expectations or to go above and beyond, besides beating the expectation, is not always possible as companies get larger. So I'll give an example. For example, if you're a trader in the stock market, you realize that if you are invested into Tesla or let's say Meta, it will take a very huge volume for the stock to move just 2 or 3% because the valuation of the company is so much higher. The cost of the cost per share is very high. So people have to invest so much money in order for stock to move a little bit. Whereas small cap, like for example, penny stocks or stocks under $50 or mid cap stocks, they move much faster because the company size is much smaller. Their growth is as hence is very speedy and very high. So even small investment of maybe a couple $100,000 or maybe $1 million will move the stock very high. So same concept and same logic applies when we're talking about earnings. If it's a small cap stock or mid cap stock or company that is like just starting, they may not have any sales, and then one quarters all of a sudden they made $3 million in sales. So of course, yeah, they beat expectations and then some. Now they're like exceptionally good company. People would just buy into the stock. The valuation goes high, the stock prices go high. Now as companies grow, people keep increasing their expectations from the company, and of course the growth in the early part, the growth is much faster because it's at that uptrend trajectory. Everything is very fresh, and people are like uh, digging into to figure out what this new technology is, and everybody wants to buy in. And of course, as the companies grow, as the time passes, they're still growing, they're still making money, but it takes so much more money in order for them to beat expectation or exceed expectation or grow at that same pace as it was growing when it was a very small company. So that's exactly what happened to Nvidia. Of course, it was top and bottom beat. It went above and beyond the Wall Street expectations. I'm sorry, I took some notes, so I have to read those, and I need my glasses for this. Jensen Huang shouts out strong Blackwell demand as and DeepSeek as company beats estimate. So the Blackwell chip is very much highly in demand, and most of their revenue does come from Blackwell chip. Their large clients are still buying the Blackwell chip. However, they're facing a little bit of competition because some of their own clients, for example, Broadcom, they're coming up with their own chips, which are obviously less costly. And then with the DeepSeek AI that has been announced in China, and then Alibaba came up with their own model of AI, which was, as Chinese would do it, they always come up with a product for a fraction of the price. So let's say, for the sake of argument, even if the DeepSeek AI was just a complete nonsense, but for the Wall Street and the investors, they have to make sure that what if a company can go ahead and buy the same technology for a lot cheaper for a fraction of the price, where is NVIDIA going to go? So this uncertainty for in the mind of investors and in the mind of these big, large companies is what's keeping this stock moving sideways. It has been going flat for past 8 months. It's not that it's going down. It did drop after the DeepSeek AI was announced significantly, and then it recovered most of it very quickly within 2 or 3 weeks. And now it has been hovering between, it went all the way high, I think it was $152 if I remember it correctly, to all the way down to I think 125, and then it has been going between 135 to 140, $145. So it has recovered most of it, but it's been pretty much going flat for past 8 months, and everybody had their eyes on NVIDIA's earning today because it was a big deal since a DeepSeek announcement. And I think NVIDIA, it wasn't a surprise to me that they have had excellent earnings. They had beat the expectations of the stock market analysts. I'm going to read some numbers here. The stock market was expecting for the earnings. Well, they beat the earnings by 78%. Company gives strong guidance for the fourth quarter, for the current quarter as well. And it's going to, and it said that it's going to continue its a historic growth run driven by artificial intelligence well into 2025. So they also said that their growth is not slowing down. It's going to continue at the same pace as it was in the past for the year of 2025. The forecast revenue of $43 billion was was announced, as compared to what the market was expecting, only $42.07 billion, which is obviously beat by pretty much $1 billion in the same quarter last year. Sales posted for 26.04 billion. So Blackwell Ultra, they also announced that they're going to launch a Blackwell Ultra, and then the successor of Blackwell this year, and the successor of Blackwell Ultra is going to be Rubin, and then after Rubin is going to be One Click, and both of these will be introduced sometime next year. But I think Blackwell Ultra is going to be launched this year. But their Blackwell, the chip they're currently selling, is still very much very highly in demand. And the people who think that NVIDIA is going to flop, I think they don't understand what AI is, and they also don't understand the financials of a company. This company has more cash than Amazon and I believe Meta. I was reading it earlier, and I read so much today because I have been missing, and I've been just reading on the information. I did jot down some notes, but when you read so much, all the numbers get mixed up. But anyways, but I was reading that their cash, they have more cash than Meta and Amazon, which makes NVIDIA one of the best technology companies that exist in Wall Street right now. And AI, I think the investors, why NVIDIA is not doing as well at the stock market is because investors are concerned, because AI certainly popped up out of nowhere within past year and a half or 2 years, 3 years the most. And people are just concerned that what if it just disappears just like that out of nowhere as well, and then they just lose all their money. So I think people are being a little bit more cautious. The people who invested earlier into this technology, they've already obviously made big bucks. And I think now they're going to sit on the sideline and wait and see what happens next, maybe in the next few months, or maybe until next quarter or so. And then they'll decide. And then in the meantime, I think DeepSeek AI and those Chinese AI that have been announced, Alibaba's AI that they announced, I think will be also, there'll be more certainty whether it's true, whether it's fake. If it's really that cheap as they're claiming that it is it as efficient as NVIDIA's Blackwell chip is? In my humble opinion, I think they have tendencies of producing cheap products, but usually the quality of their products is very lame. And I think same thing is going to happen. Their DeepSeek AI and also the Alibaba's AI is going to be sure. It'll be cheaper, less costly. It might be good enough for small companies or maybe for small projects, but for larger companies who need these high quality AI technology, I think they're going to still stick with NVIDIA, because obviously it's expensive up front, but it's going to give them more benefit in the long run, and that's where the NVIDIA growth is going to be. After the earnings, NVIDIA stock is basically flat. It did go up a little bit, and then it just went flat after the earning call. So I guess Wall Street is not very excited with the earnings of NVIDIA. They were probably expecting that it will not only that it will beat expectations, but it will exceed by multiples and their expectations. But they need to understand that that's not how the company, when they're growing and when they've grown to a certain level, the growth isn't the same. That doesn't mean they're not making money or they're not profitable. It's just it takes so much more money and energy to grow them at the same pace. And then, of course, as more and more people buy into their technology, of course, now those people don't have the demand, at least for now, for their chip. Now they have to get new companies and land new contracts. So I think all the Blackwell chips that they had contracted, I think they've already contracted them till the end of the year. And in my opinion, Wall Street and the investors are always looking for NVIDIA to reassure and say it every time in every earning call, or whenever they make an announcement that yes, they're good for the whole year. The contracts have been signed for till the year end, or the production is in the process to cover all the demand until the year end. But I guess sometimes CEOs don't realize that they have to keep making those announcements just to keep the investors attracted. The other reason why these companies sometimes go sideways and they don't do as well, because these big investors, like the companies, hedge funds and ETF managers, obviously they understand what NVIDIA is. They understand where AI is going. And some of these big companies like NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, they have a long way to go. But when they're dealing with clients and they have their money, if the stock isn't doing as well, they have to show it on papers that look how much money we made. So regardless of how convinced they are of the business model, if the numbers are not showing any progress to their clients get upset and they want their money back. They don't want to invest with them. So they have to keep their clients happy. And therefore, whenever I talk about these companies, I say companies fundamental and companies valuation is one thing, stock is totally different thing, because the price of stock is determined by the motivation of the investors or demotivation of the investors, also by the conviction of the investors and not being able to convince the clients of these investors, of these big companies. And that's what moves the stock. So sometimes some very lame, stupid company could run like there's no end to it, and sometimes very good, solid companies will not run because it's very hard for these financial institutions to convince their clients that this is a good product and we need to invest in this. The clients will say, well, show me the numbers on paper, and they don't have them yet. So that's why they have to be very careful, because they have to run their business. So they have to make sure that they keep their clients happy, so they keep bringing the money to them, to keep investing in them, and that's how they make their profits. So where is the stock going? I think, in my humble opinion, I'm still very convinced. I think the stock is going to go at $190 to $200 by the end of this year. I think it'll only take one more quarter for NVIDIA to fly again, because DeepSeek AI is very, very newly introduced, or has been rumored out, and people are still not sure if DeepSeek AI is going to take over NVIDIA, which most of the analysts are convinced that that's not the case. But they think maybe it has created some competition for NVIDIA, and I think that's why people are reluctant to buy into, and they're just waiting on the sideline to see which direction it goes, and then people will just invest their money into it. And once that happens, the stock will go up. And I think in the next quarter, if their Blackwell chip sells out as they have signed the contracts and their new chip is introduced, which is called Blackwell Ultra, I think that's where the stock movement is going to take place, and it's going to go on the run again. But again, my price prediction is $190 to $200 by the end of this year. So I actually welcome the drop in NVIDIA. As I mentioned in my previous video, I have been selling some of my old positions because I want to buy some of these companies which I don't have any positions in, because I missed the first run. So now I want to at least start a position and maybe a dollar cost average as they go up or down, and then I'm going to just invest them until 2030, inshallah, if I'm still alive by then. All right, now let's talk about Tesla. Oh my God, what has happened to Tesla? There's a lot that has happened to Tesla, of course. First of all, their last quarter earnings were not that great. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like aha moment kind of Tesla. And then Elon Musk's reputation has been on stake lately, and I think it's not the Tesla company is being punished. I think it's Elon Musk is being punished by the investors, and investors have lost confidence because they think he's too involved with the government, with DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, and he's not paying as much attention to his company. And also there's a conflict of interest. I was actually reading this morning, I did take down some notes, that Elon Musk is trying to cut $65 billion in cost. And if you look at the balance sheet, it shows that they've only so far cut $14 billion or $13 billion. I read this a few days ago, but you can double check the number. I mean, in my opinion, that's not bad to start with, you know. And then they say whatever amount of money they're going to cut in those expenses, they're going to send a refund check of $5,000 to all the taxpayer households to where at some point. In my opinion, that $5,000 DOGE dividend, if that does happen, is going to go probably March, April of next year, close to the midterm election. They always do this whenever they issue stimulus check or these kind of, you know, dividends to taxpayers. They usually happen during right before the midterm elections, because that's what, you know, helps them with their election campaign in their next term. But anyways, the cost cutting is going to take place from fraud detection or deletion, contracts or lease cancellations, contract lease negotiation, asset sales, grant cancellations, workforce reduction, which we all already know that they have laid off so many workers from IRS, from the government offices. Some of them got hefty check of $70,000, but it's cutting down on the labor cost and workforce reduction, programmatic changes, and regulatory services. This also gives Elon Musk a very bad reputation, because people are saying by him getting involved and having access to all this information and trying to cut cost from contracts and grants, while he himself has gotten $38 billion from the government for his companies when he was struggling, and that's how he made his way out of the slump that he was in. And Elon, the money that he received was mainly $38 billion in government funding, for 465 million loan from Energy Department. And Elon Musk had really fought for that when his company was struggling. So people say, well, this is a conflict of interest. He's cutting costs in contracts and funding and grants, while he himself has been getting grants. And he's also been promised, actually, I think I wrote this down somewhere, that he has been promised to get another $65 billion or million dollars in or $64 billion in grant, sorry, $14 billion in grant within next few years. That's what the Trump administration is thinking about, you know, promising him that amount of money. So this is a conflict of interest, and that's what's making people very mad. The general public is mad. So as a result, people are just hating Elon Musk, and the company is struggling. The other reason why it's struggling, because it has lost its sales across Europe, and also in the US, even the sales have dropped. Elon Musk and Tesla announced that they are going to have their full self-driving introduced in China very soon this year. They've already gotten the regulatory approval from China. I don't know if that's true or that's just a rumor, but that was the good news. But that didn't make the stock move much. They also said that they're going to have their Model Y, the upgraded version of Model Y and Model S coming out soon, which was also good news. That should have bumped up the stock a little bit. It did move it a little bit, but then it just started dropping. I think the loss of pressure is being put on by day traders as well, because the investors are not convinced to put money into Tesla, but the day traders are obviously taking advantage of these daily news that come out, which makes the stock move a few dollars, and then they just take the money out, and then it puts downward pressure again. The other reason I think, in order for Tesla, I mean, in the short term, it's bearish because of Elon Musk's involvement with the government, and people are concerned that he's not paying attention. There's a conflict of interest. The sales are dropping. The deliveries are dropping. The deliveries were not, they didn't meet the expectation. The last quarter earnings were not that good. People are worrying that maybe their margins will drop. Their revenue is dropping unless they come up with some excellent news, which will just put the stock, go parabolic. I think for the short term, next month or so, it's a little bit bearish sentiment towards Tesla. In order for Tesla to move in the long term, though, me personally, I'm Tesla bull, and Elon Musk, whatever people are saying, that may be true, but at the same time, I think he's not involved in the government for no reason. I'm sure he's been promised some big reward for this. And businessmen like him, you usually never disclose any of the information until the right time, because that's how they are successful. So if he is giving so much time to Trump, and he's very involved in Doge, and he's doing whatever he is doing, it's probably because he has been promised some huge reward for this. And I think, in my opinion, it may be conspiracy theory, but in my opinion, I think he's already been promised regulatory approval for his FSD once he's done helping Donald Trump. And I think at that point, when he comes forward and he makes the announcement, is going to make the stock go parabolic, and it's going to be on the run. But for the short term, I think for next month or so, the stock might go sideways. It might go up to maybe $300, $320. The average price target right now is, I think, $365, which is much higher where the stock is today. But in the long term, I am still a Tesla bull. I think by the end of this year, the stock has to reach at least $500, if not higher. So if you watched my previous video, I actually said that if the stock drops below $300, it goes to 290 or 278, I believe it was. I am actually welcoming that dip. I will obviously dollar cost average. I'll buy some more and add to my position, because I want to hold this long term. My largest position is Tesla position in my portfolio. Now let's talk about Palantir. Palantir dropped. I mean, it ran after the last earning, because Palantir is one of the other great platform for service for AI. It has a very different model than NVIDIA model, so that's why that company has its own clientele, and it has its own users, and it's one of a kind leader in its own capacity, just like NVIDIA. The business model for both of these companies are very different. NVIDIA is basically hardware company, whereas Palantir is the business model for Palantir is a platform for service, and that's why it makes it very unique, and it's the leader in its own particular department, I should say. So that's why that stock has been on the run. If you held the stock through its down times and you didn't sell it, you made good over 1,000% profit on this right now. I'm not surprised that it went down a little bit on the news that Pentagon was cutting on their defense contracts, and because most of their contracts are with the governments and in defense, and that's probably why that's the reason why investors took the money out, because they usually, what happens when the news comes, so this is how stock market works. When the news comes, the first thing that investors do is just pull the money out first, take the money out, and then sit there and read the news and try to understand what it means for this news. And then they say, oh, so it wasn't that big deal, so let's just buy it back in. But they don't think when they're taking the money out of certain investments, because they don't want to lose whatever they've earned so far. Me, on the other hand, I say, okay, well, news just came out, it's gonna drop. I'll wait, I'll read through it, and then I'll add more to my position if my understanding allows me to do so. If not, I'm going to keep whatever position I have, and I'm going to just hold it as I had planned. So I don't sell it. I just read the news and I add more if I feel like this is nothing burger and I think the stock is going to still perform very well. And maybe this is a good buy the dip opportunity for me. But these large investors, they don't do this because obviously I don't have billions of dollars invested, so my profit or loss doesn't matter as much. But if they don't take their money out, they lose big amount of money, and they don't want to do this because, as I said, these financial institutions, they have to keep their customers happy, so they have to show them profits on the books, on the paper. Look how much money we made last year, how much money we made last quarter, and that's what keeps their business running. So Palantir went down, but once we read about these defense contracts, price cutting, etc., we also know that Trump is very pro technology, and it wouldn't make any sense for him to cut down the prices on contracts which involve the new technology, like, for example, AI kind of technology. So I think, if anything, they're going to cut cost in all the other contracts which are not pro technology, and they're going to put rather money into all that money they'll save. They'll put some away, and they'll use some of that money towards Palantir, which I think is actually good for Palantir. And I'm hoping the Palantir drops down to $70 and I will buy, because I don't hold a position right now. I had Palantir, I asked my brother to buy it right after COVID. We bought it at, I think, $17 per share, and then it dropped to $6. It's been down, and then we were just holding the bag for 2 years, and once it went back up, we made 30% profit. I told my brother, keep an eye on Palantir. He sold it, I sold it, and then I didn't realize that right after I sell, it's going to run 1,000%. So I missed out on that run after holding a bag for 2 years, but I was just tired of looking at it, and it wasn't doing anything. Though my conviction was there, but I was like, let's sell it now. It might drop down to like its IPO price, which was like $9 and some change, and maybe I can buy it again, maybe at $12, $13, and then I can ride it all the way up. But it didn't give me the chance to do so. And now that it's dropping, and I have seen what the all-time high was, it's like over $120. If it drops to $70, I think I'll still make lots of profit if it would touch its all-time high again, which it is gonna, obviously. The other thing I want to talk about is Uber. So many good news have been coming out for Uber. Uber is obviously starting lots of new ventures. I know they just announced that they were starting some Uber. They have a competitor in India, and they didn't want to miss out on that market. I believe I did record a video on Uber last time, but I'm just going to give you a little brief overview of what Uber is doing. First of all, Michael Burry, ever since he invested into Uber stock has been running because he put lots of money into this, and that's what gave the stock a kick when it dropped after its last earnings. And it had recovered pretty quickly. It went all the way up to $82 last week, but then during this last 4 days of market crash, obviously it lost some of its momentum too, but it has been holding pretty well compared to the rest of the market. They are going to expand their business in India, and they are not going to charge them any fee except for the subscription fee, which is monthly, and that's because they have a competitor who does that, and they just want to compete with that, and that's going to be for rickshaw and small automobiles. And I think I explained what rickshaws are. It's like a three-wheel public transportation that runs within the city, like in crowded areas of the cities. And that's all of those are going to be listed on that platform. So when I went to Pakistan, they have rickshaws and those, all those things on Uber. So they are pretty expand. And lots of analysts have been raising their price targets. Analysts have very positive view about Uber right now, and they're saying this is one of the best stock. And also they're getting involved with Waymo. They're going to have them use their platform for their FSDs. We were hoping that maybe Tesla will sign some kind of contract with them, but it turns out that Tesla wants to start their own, which I think it's going to be a mistake in my opinion, because Uber has so much information, because their platform is so big and they have so many users already. That'll be much more beneficial for Tesla to use it. Sure, maybe in the long run they'll make more money, but in the short term, as Tesla company is struggling because of Elon Musk right now, it would be better if they made an announcement of that sort, that they're going to partner with Uber and they're going to use their platform for the FSDs. I think that will give Tesla stock a boost. So anyways, Uber has been doing well. If you didn't buy when it went down to $60 or actually $55, I feel sorry for you. You would have already made good 30%, 40% profit on it. But I think Uber stock is going to go to $100 in my opinion. It's not going to take that long. It'll probably go pretty quickly. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin. My. I am so happy that it's dropping. I'm actually welcoming that drop in Bitcoin. Remember, I made my last video in which I said I read one of those people who do the chart analysis. I'm not the person who does chart analysis, but I read somebody else's analysis. He's a big financial institution, some big shot there, and he does the analysis. And he said if the Bitcoin price goes, it has to hold the 92,000 level. If it goes below 92, the next stop will be 77,000, and after that, I think they said it will be $65,000. But if it holds 92,000, it's gonna go up. And I also made a video before that, which another analyst had predicted the price target that it's gonna go to $280,000 by October. But in order for it to get there, it's going to drop to mid $70,000 before it has the next one up. And so far, it looks to me like all those predictions are going to come true. And I'm actually welcoming this Bitcoin drop right now. Because as you know, if you've watched my videos, I am not invested into Bitcoin because I missed that first, I just missed the boat. And then it just kept running, never to come back again. But I knew there will be a pullback, and I didn't want to just FOMO into Bitcoin. Now that it's dropping, I think it might go to 77,000. It might even touch 65. If that happens, I'm absolutely buying one coin, and I'm just going to hold it till 2030. That's my retirement right there. I'm not going to touch that. Because I will have enough money to buy one coin. I can still buy a fraction of the coin right now, but I think I rather wait to buy at least one coin and just hold on to this until 2030. I'll keep adding more if I come up with more money, but it's so expensive. It's like you have to have $100,000 to buy one coin, so you don't have that much money usually, and all of my money is invested into stock market. Anyways, so I think if you watch my video, it didn't hold the $92,000 level, so it dropped below 90,000. It went to 82, I believe. Next stop is going to be 77, and then if lots of people who are waiting for it to go down, they'll probably buy at that point. But I think now people have very bearish sentiment right now, and I don't think they're going to buy. They're going to wait for it to pull back a little bit more, which is going to cause it to go sideways, and then people are going to panic sell. The ones who have been holding, they probably wouldn't want to lose all their gains, and then more people will buy. People like me who are waiting on the sideline will buy at mid $60,000 level, and then they'll ride the next wave, which is going to be 150 to 280 to all the way $380, and then they said after that, sky is the limit. It could go wherever. Those who bought this at $100,000 didn't make any money. Instead, in fact, they lost the money. But again, I don't consider this as a trading asset. I think this is more like store of value. Just buy it and hold on to it. You can spend it, you can use some of it if you need to, but just hold on to it. Don't sell it. If you're buying it to, just like you buy stocks and you're trading it, that's a bad idea. Sure, you'll make some money in the short term, but you'll miss out on this big time if you keep selling it, because when it runs, it's gonna run, and then you're gonna regret selling your Bitcoin. So my advice is, if you have any extra money, if you have made some profit from the stock market, put that into Bitcoin and let it ride. That will be like your sound, solid investment. Those are your trades at the stock market level when you trade equities. But when you put this in the Bitcoin, that will be your investment. You just ride it, keep it until you really need it for something big, and that's what I'm going to do. So in my opinion, it might drop to 77,000, which is not too far from where it is today. I think it was at $82,000 last time I checked. So it only has to drop $5,000 to hit that 77,000 margin, and then it's gonna go maybe to 65. It may not go there. It might just go right back up, but 65 is a possibility. So if you are willing to buy Not a personalized financial advice, but nothing wrong with waiting for a little bit and see which direction it moves, and then you can, nibble into to Bitcoin. But overall, in the long term, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. I have a conspiracy theory on the Bitcoin price action too right now. I may be wrong, but again, I might be right. I think Trump had announced that he wants to have Bitcoin as as their strategic reserve, and I think they're doing something to put the pressure on Bitcoin to keep the price down on purpose, so Trump administration can go ahead and buy Bitcoin and invest as much money as in Bitcoin to hold it in their strategic reserve. So then when it grows, their reserve value grows as well. Just a theory. I might be wrong, but I feel like it's very much a possibility. So they're probably keeping the price down on purpose, because I don't understand why the prices have dropped. Certainly it was climbing to 100, 103, all the way $108,000, and then certainly there's a huge chop in the price. It's like systematic pressure was put on just so that Trump can get Bitcoin to hold it as their strategic reserve. I might be wrong. It's just a conspiracy theory, but I thought I should just share that with you, a perspective to look at, maybe to think about it and see, if that's the case, maybe we should buy it too and hold it and let it ride. I hope this video helped. Please let me know if I'm providing value. I know I'm not a very good YouTuber. I just do it for fun. I just do it because I like to share my perspective. And please don't forget to watch my videos, because those ones I really make with my heart and I put hard work into it, because those videos I really make to teach the people who don't understand finances and economic system. I'm trying to help them understand it so they can make wise decisions. So I have a whole playlist. It's called Banking, Currency, and Finance. If you click on it, I think I've uploaded 4 videos so far. I have a new one coming Friday, so just stay tuned for that. And please make sure comment, share my videos to those who might benefit from them. Share your thoughts on my videos. Subscribe to my channel and give my video a thumbs up. Until next one, take care, be safe out there, and don't lose your money. Invest smartly.